Hi, this is in response to Valerie's post and her additional reply. I find it's so disheartening to know that the attitudes and communication styles amongst organizations um, are regressing, and I really didn't understand the phrase "nurses eat their young" until I was 42, and when I graduated from nursing school, um, I'd been in another position and had a previous career where I had great leadership and great management. Um, Before I became a supervisor, there was a long process. I went to coaching school, which was probably one of the best weeks. It was a week's immersion of how to coach your employees and how to bring out the best in them. And it's disheartening to hear that somebody would lose three brand new grads to lateral violence. I'd be interested to know what happened to the employee if the employee was identified, um, and to deal with it. Um, I can remember being a new nurse, and I was on a med surge floor, and we were packed, and I'd say my preceptor didn't have a boatload of time for me, in general. And I had this man who was agitated, and I called the surgeon, and he was older, and I had not seen a paradoxical reaction to Ativan or benzos in somebody who was older. Well, I definitely had the man had a paradoxical response, and we had a night nurse who knew her stuff, um, but was known to not be very nice to new nurses. She literally chased me through the med room trying to say, "What in the world did you do?" And not much management and very little leadership. So I think one of the things as we come out of um, this program, in part of being a DMP, is to have leadership skills. And it's hard. I think it's really hard to sometimes people can manage, but to lead takes a special person. It's also like to have the vision of where you're going. Um, Sometimes, in some ways, I think I'm a great follower. Do I have the vision to see things? My husband and I talk about this often. It's like, I mean, this is a strange reference point, but would I have ever had the vision to develop and see where the market for Facebook was, or that Zuckerberg sees things, Steve Jobs sees things. They may not necessarily be great leaders, and I would like to think as myself as a manager, my staff and we always played well together. I'm kind of a work hard, play hard kind of person. So, and I had a great mentor who taught me that. We'd be in a meeting, and he'd hand me hand me to myself, and then he'd walk out of the meeting and turn around and say, "Hey, when does Mary Rose wants to know if you're coming over to dinner tonight?" So leading and managing are important. And everybody's made some great comments about knowing your strengths and weaknesses of your staff, and that's how you get the best out of people. And I think it's very important to be approachable and and above all, honest. Keeping the lines of communication open. I've always had an open door policy when I was in management, and some people aren't that way. And I also have a trait that when you see a problem, it's very hard for me not to point it out, which occasionally gets me into trouble because sometimes people know the emperor has no clothes, but they don't want to hear it. But I want to thank you guys for some great analogies and things of what's going on. Currently, I'm not in a clinical setting, but I've been there, and I'm going to get back to a clinical setting because I think it's important to make a difference. But we need to be able to keep the new nurses, help get them trained, and keep up their job satisfaction, and keep them healthy. And we all need to keep ourselves healthy because it is a stressful job, and we're in it for a reason. We're in it for, it's a calling. So thank you. Have a great weekend.